Alright, just nice and clean. So I came out to this car yesterday and went to pull away and put the key in and nothing happened. So let's see. Yeah. So I turned the key and nothing happens. Still alright voltage, and I don't even hear a click or anything. So I just think that it's not even trying to engage the starter. But the first thing to check would be this, because usually there's a pin inside the ignition switch that can break and it'll stop it from starting. I suspect that this one's fine because it springs right back. Put it to start, let go, it springs back. So that's a good sign that that is fine. And also when I turn it to start, the radio turns off, which is normal. So that suggests to me that the ignition switch itself is fine. So I'm gonna pop the hood and we're gonna take a look under there. We're gonna check to see if the starter relay is clicking. Okay. Under here. And the best way to check it is to put your finger on the starter relay and get someone to flick the key. And if you feel the relay clicking, then that'll help us cancel out a part of the circuit and narrow down what's going on. So let's switch these two. In this specific box here, this is the relay for the starter. So I'm just gonna switch this with that since I have no one to do it for me. And also check the fuses right quick. The fuses are good. All right, now I'm gonna go to start it and see if anything changes. I'm also gonna leave this here so we can hear to see if it's clicking. So I'm gonna put it on top of the relay. So where pin 30 goes in, we're gonna check for battery voltage. And if we get battery voltage there, then this part's gonna be good. And we did switch the relay, so we can suspect that that's good, but you never know. Could be two bad relays. I doubt it though, so. If we have good voltage coming in here and that part is good, then the next place to check would be theoretically at the starter. I do know that there's other places that could be an issue. If there's not a good enough connection at the battery, sometimes the starter won't even click or engage. So I definitely suggest checking your battery connections, making sure your battery is good. I've already checked the battery on this, so it is good. And there's another spot that I've seen in the past that have had issues, and that's this right here. It's the post pass-through on the front fuse box. So where the cable connects on the post, it can get corroded. So what you'd want to do is take the nut off and then clean all the corrosion off and then put it back in. I've seen that not engage the starter before. So we're definitely going to check that area out. And another area that I would definitely pay attention to would be this right here. This connection on the starter. It plugs into a post. Sometimes that post gets corroded and then it won't even engage the solenoid on the starter. So these are the next two spots that I'm going to check. If you didn't check your battery, definitely check your battery. But I've checked the battery, that's good. I'm going to check this post, and then if everything is good there, then we'll get underneath and check this on the starter. We're going to do the easy stuff first, and then we'll get to the hard stuff, and then we'll figure out what's going on here. In the end, if we end up having power here going to the starter, if we have ground at the starter, and if we have power going here when we turn the key, then it's going to be a bad starter. But I don't suspect my starter's bad because it's always started strong, and usually when starters fail, they'll start turning over slowly first. So I just suspect that there's a bad connection somewhere, and we're gonna get to the bottom of it. This is fuse 20 right there, and as you can see, it's in good condition. All the fuses look good. This could be a suspect though. Just because it's looking crusty and old, I'm gonna take that nut off and clean it all up. And yeah, we're gonna put it back together, ensure that that's a good connection, because that is a point of resistance that could cause issues. All right, so we got a 13mm nut on this. We're gonna try to get it off without breaking anything. Looking good. We're gonna take this off and get the surfaces cleaned up good. It's not the worst in the world. Let's get it cleaned up. I'm gonna lift this off completely. Oh yeah, you can see there's a layer of dirt there. It's not so bad on that side, but looks like a wire was connected there before. Okay, now I'm gonna clean the bottom of this too. Alright, so I cleaned up the surface right here, and the dirt's off it. I'm gonna wipe that, the rest of it. And I also cleaned up all the crust off the bottom of that. I'm gonna clean up the bottom of the nut here, and then I'm gonna put it back on nice so we got a nice connection there. I want to be careful not to break this, because as you can see, it flexes a bit there. So you want to do it tight, but not too tight, because you don't want that to break. Check for looseness. Seems to be pretty tight. Don't want to break anything here. All right, so I made sure that post was good. You definitely want to make sure that it's good on yours, because that can definitely cause power to not go to the starter. It has before on my other vehicles. And you also want to make sure that your battery positive and negative cables are good. And of course the ground is good. And yeah, once we make sure all this other stuff is good, then we're gonna make our way down to the starter. And we want to make sure that there's ground, of course. And also we want to make sure that there's power at the starter, at the big power cable. And then we're going to check the other little cable that plugs into the starter. That's also going to be power coming from the relay. So when you turn the key and the relay is engaged, it should send power to the starter here. So you need the ground, the main power, and then another power. If you have all that and it's still not starting, then there's something wrong with the starter. I suspect that there's probably a bad connection. We're gonna check this connection and then go from there. Alright, I got a little piece of sandpaper, and I'm gonna go under and check the starter and check the connections. Bring this under in case I need to clean something up. And but I gotta get it jacked up so I can slide under. So I'm gonna get it jacked up from the front subframe, and then we'll be able to check the starter connections out. Okay, there's the starter, and you want to make sure the connections are good there. As you can see, that connector's kind of a little bit not straight, so I do suspect that that came a little loose. Kind of looks like it could be pushed on it more. Usually that tab gets corroded. The tab doesn't look too bad. So I'm gonna check that connection there. If it's loose, I'm gonna try to tighten it up. Okay, so it turns out that connection there wasn't connected very good. It wasn't clicked all the way into place. And I was able to push it in and click it into place. So now I'm pretty confident that we're gonna be able to start this. All right, so now that I got the connector figured out, let's start it up. Look at that, start it right up.